This is Paranormal Skeptic Academy, using critical thinking and scientific reasoning to analyze your favorite ghost hunting shows. You will never look at them the same again. You have been warned. Ghost Adventurers heads to North Adams, Massachusetts to investigate the Houghton Mansion. The Houghton family experienced several tragic deaths there. Later, the mansion was sold to the secretive Masons, and they have experienced numerous paranormal events. Zach, Nick, and Aaron travel there hoping to capture these spirits on camera. This is Paranormal Skeptic Academy. Paranormal state has been good to me, but I need a break every once in a while. And when I do take a break, I break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. No, wait. I always come back to my boys at Ghost Adventurers. Something about the over-the-top drama and the faux tough guy act is just so entertaining to me. These guys are still on the air, and even if I didn't do the podcast, I would probably still watch a show or two just to laugh at it and be entertained. Now, this isn't an endorsement of their claims, just the fact that I like to be entertained, and Ghost Adventurers is entertainingly bad. So where is our intrepid trio this week? North Adams, Massachusetts, to visit the Houghton Mansion. To get a little background on this place, we head over to the most trusted resource on the internet, Wikipedia. Hey, don't judge me. Albert Charles Houghton, or AC, then president of Arnold Printworks and first mayor of North Adams, built the house in the 1890s. It was built in the neoclassical revival style with strong Greek features. In 1900, the Houghtons moved in, their family consisting of Mr. Houghton, his wife Cordelia, and their youngest surviving daughter Mary, then 23 years old. In 1914, tragedy struck. In the spring of that year, they invested in their first car, a 7-passenger Pierce Arrow Touring. On August 1st, Mr. Houghton wanted to take a drive to Bennington, Vermont. Mrs. Houghton stayed back, and friends of the family, Dr. and Mrs. Robert Hutton, joined Mr. Houghton on the drive along with Mr. Houghton's daughter Mary. The car was driven by their driver, John Winters. 30 minutes after starting their drive, they were in Pownall, Vermont, heading up what is now Oak Hill Road. The road itself was under repair, and on the right side, horses were partially blocking the road. John Winters drove on the left-hand shoulder. Misjudging the room he had to pass, the car tilted and rolled down an embankment. The men were thrown from the car. The two women were not so lucky. Mrs. Hutton was killed instantly, and Mary later died from her injuries at 3 p.m. the same day in the North Adams Hospital. Mr. Houghton, who many thought just had minor injuries, died 10 days later on August 11th. Police investigators exonerated Mr. Winters of all wrongdoing, but Winters still blamed himself, and on August 2nd, 1914, at 5 a.m., he shot himself in the cellar of the Houghton barn with a horse pistol. Soon after the crash, the one surviving daughter moved into the home with her husband. In 1926, they sold the home to the local Masons group, which still owns the property today. The mansion is alleged to be haunted by Albert Houghton, his daughter Mary, and the chauffeur John Winters. Now that was just a brief history of the place and hits all the high points. It's also a good setup to see how our friend Zach and crew spin this story to make this place seem haunted, and boy do they ever spin. Let us begin.
What the hell was that? Is that the motion sensors going off?
Somebody here?
Did you hear that?
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm getting it again.
The show opens with the team arriving at the location, Houghton Mansion. They meet with a local who tells the story of the Houghton family, what I already went through in the previous section. They head to the house of the step-great-great-granddaughter of AC Houghton. She proceeds to show Zach pictures of the family and asks for some intel on the family to use during the investigation, so they can call out the spirits.
We do our paranormal investigation. Is there anything that you can suggest that we may say out loud to some of your ancestors?
If I met them, I would say, "Are you so sad?"
Do you think they might be?
Tragic. Well, my goodness, look at the deaths within the space of 10 days.
And then the chauffeur, Mr. Witters, I'm sure he's still in a lot of guilt.
Oh, yes, he must have had. And especially if you're devoted to a family. It was an accident, but he probably felt, my goodness. Oh, yes.
So they speculate a lot of the occurrences that are for Mr. Witters because he went so suddenly.
But the family was obviously devoted to him also because they buried him with the family plot.
We saw all the 4 tombstones, and then off in the distance you see that single one of Mr. Witters. It's just kind of, I saw that formation as kind of, he was part of the family, but he wasn't, and by out there he was still in guilt.
Zach then goes on and explains that the Masons then purchased the property, and he attempts to paint the Masons as some mysterious organization, but somehow they let him explore their temple and grounds with cameras. Zach then interviews some elite members of the Masons and they recount their paranormal experiences.
Many of the Masons at the Houghton Mansion have witnessed supernatural occurrences.
Nearly every time I come down here, you hear a door slam or footsteps.
Our meetings usually end anywhere between 9 and maybe 10, 10:30. Go back upstairs to clean up the lodge room after the meetings. It doesn't feel like you're alone, that's for sure.
Really?
Me and another brother were down here. We had to open the lodge, but we had a snowstorm, and we were waiting for our third member to show up. We had kind of trudged through the snow, and there's a large entry door going out to the carport off the main street. We were there, the door opened, slammed.
This is the door you heard slam shut?
This is the
Can
one.
you show me how loud you heard it slam shut?
Well, it's something you figure somebody opened it at least that far.
And after it's...
That's as loud as it slammed, absolutely.
And immediately thereafter, you heard loud footsteps as if somebody walked inside.
Yep, it was like somebody was banging off snow off their boots, having walked through 2 feet of snow.
Really?
And they went to the end of the hall and stopped. I was sitting on the other side of the wall, so I heard it clear as day. There was fresh snow. It had blown in and drifted over this whole landing here, and the snow was up to at least here. And there was not a footprint, not even a squirrel ran across here. There was no sign of any kind of force, any kind of entry. You
think it might have been Mr. Houghton or Mr. Witters?
One of those two.
Okay, buddy. So snow was built up at the bottom of the door. There were 0 prints in the snow, but the door opened and shut. From where he indicated the height of the snow, the door may have disturbed the snow when it was open, but he heard the door slam and heard footsteps. He also said that it was a windy day with snow blowing across the porch. Could it be possible, just hear me out here, that the wind opened the door and then slammed it shut? Or maybe it rattled the door loudly. I would believe these 2 possibilities before a ghost causing the door to open and slamming it shut. Now this man telling the story seems to already believe AC Houghton is causing this, so an alternative explanation is out of the question. And all this assuming the story is true, because, well, there's no evidence outside of this guy's experience. Zach's guide takes him to a stone wall and informs Zach that the stones used in the wall are from the Hussac Tunnel, or better known locally as
the Bloody Pit.
The rocks in the wall were from the Hussac Tunnel. It was a tunnel that was built in the 1800s. They call it the Bloody Pit.
Why do they call it the Bloody Pit?
Because of the men that died in that tunnel.
And how many men died?
Almost 200.
Mining these rocks that are sitting on the property of the Houghton Mansion.
Exactly. These are the rocks that came out of that hole that they made through the mountain. So I think that these rocks had something to do with the deaths of the Houghtons. And
you mean like
Witters.
a curse?
A curse.
Now that is some awesome speculation there, and some awesome post hoc rationalization. Rocks from a tunnel where 200 men died on the property of the Houghton Mansion. And guess what? Those people died too. Curse, I tell you. An evil curse. The whole town is cursed. Zach then connects the dots by finding the tunnel. He has already made the connection to the tunnel and Houghton family with 0 evidence supporting the conclusion, but this next part is just hilarious.
So right now we've been walking along this railway for almost 2 miles now. We just found the Hussac Tunnel, and this is weird. You can feel like literally like a 30-degree breeze just shooting out of this tunnel.
Wait, you mean the air inside of the tunnel is cooler than the air outside of the tunnel? Air from underground through a mountain tunnel is cooler than the outside air. And you're saying this is significant. How? So every other tunnel through a mountain where this occurs is just natural. But because it's 2 miles from a place where a family died and a tunnel built in the 1800s where miners died, it's somehow significant. The team goes into the tunnel to find something. Let's follow them and see what they do find. I bet you it's just more cold air.
Is there somebody down here? Dude, what was that? I swear to God, I just saw something run across the tracks. I swear to God, I just saw something run across the tracks. I don't know if that was a guy or an animal or something, but something just went over from that side and crossed over the tracks. I swear to God. And my light wasn't even moved. Dude, I'm seeing, I don't know, playing tricks on my eyes.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
I just keep seeing everywhere in
messed
here.
up in here.
Yeah. I know it's dark in here, but it feels dark in here. Like the energy is like bad or something. You know, I can't explain it. It just feels like we shouldn't be in here.
Run, Zach, run! What are you doing in there? Get out now! Get to the chopper! After the break, we join the team as they explore the house, but thankfully it's during the day because, after that incident in the tunnel, I don't know how much more I can take in one session. The curator walks Zach and team around the house and shows him all the hotspots for paranormal activity.
Josh is the past president of the Masonic Temple, which is located inside the Houghton Mansion, and he's experienced a bunch of paranormal activity in here, and he's going to take us around and show us where some of those hot spots are.
I guess one of the first spots I'd like to show you, just to introduce you to one of our spirits that at least I feel is here, is this is a portrait right here in our main lobby of AC Houghton himself. AC is one of the ghosts that we believe to be haunting this location.
Mary is one of the daughters of AC Houghton, right?
Yes.
And she was killed in a car accident?
Yes.
Now, what kind of activity have you?
We've had a lot of people get strong sensations of sadness, sensations of being touched. We've captured some EVPs that had like a scream on them. We've had different ones that say...
There's been a scream that's been heard here.
Yes.
Wow.
Some that'll say, get out. God, there's been so many of them. I can't even think of the top of my head right now. You have 2 different get outs. One was upstairs and one was downstairs.
Can we go check out some of the rooms where that's been captured?
Yes.
I like that voice, get out. That's kind of our speed, because we can't get out because we're locked down. So you actually captured this voice saying, get out.
I did.
Where did you capture this at? What part of the mansion?
It was on the 3rd floor.
You think this might have been that spirit of John Witters?
It could have been John Witters.
And he's saying what?
I think he's telling us to get out.
That is very clear, too. Get out. Get out. That's a class A EVP.
Wait, time out. That sounded like get out? Am I the only one not hearing it? Class A EVP? Meaning top of the line? Like best of the best? None better? I guess when your evidence already is so weak, any semblance of noise that kind of sounds like a voice will do.
This section of the house we just entered is the servant section of the house. This would be where the butlers and maids and everybody live.
A lot of paranormal activity in this room?
Large amount of activity in this room. Probably most of the activity will happen here.
You've actually seen a figure, an apparition in this room?
Right in front of the doorway. Now the door was closed and it was pitch dark in here. It was about 11 o'clock at night, but he was standing right in front of that doorway.
And then you actually had another one right here.
Yes, the actual one that I've taken a picture of during the daytime. It was actually probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon while taking pictures, and you can see somebody standing with their face right here in this window pane.
They show us a picture, and again, I don't see it. If there was anything in the window, it looks like a reflection, which could have been the sun, but your guess is as good as mine.
Now, there's a spirit down here that I've encountered many times, which I feel is a little girl, and we haven't been able to document where she came from. But I think maybe she's attached to that original cellar hole or that original house.
You'll be tapped down there, she'll touch you, she'll play with your hair, and we take it as a playful spirit.
My leg just kind of gave out. I looked behind me, nobody was there.
So you felt someone actually push on your leg?
I think that it was that little girl spirit that everybody talks about that's down here.
That pushed you?
Yes.
So you saw a little girl in the basement here?
She actually peeked out around a corner, kind of got down on the floor, and then kind of just moved across the floor.
So your knee giving out is a ghost? Man, my crappy knees give out all the time. I guess that is a ghost trying to chop block me, a la Ric Flair. Zach then interviews the president of the Masonic Lodge, and he proceeds to tell him that it is his duty to preserve the history of this place, including the ghost. Now it's time for
Lockdown.
So we're literally minutes away from being locked down inside of Houghton Mansion, and dusk is about to arrive, so Aaron's just setting up our exterior static night vision camera, and this camera will be covering the front door, where we're actually gonna get padlocked inside. You know, when we say we're being locked down inside these locations, we literally mean it, and if we have to drill a deadbolt lock on the outside of the door so we don't get out, we will do it. You ready to lock us in here?
I'm ready to do it.
Good luck.
See you, bro. All right, man.
There we go.
This is how Ghost Adventures crew gets locked down.
Night is upon us, and the team starts out on their adventure. Their ghost adventure. The start of the lockdown is similar to other beginnings. Zach introduces the team and antagonizes the spirits said to haunt the mansion. They set up a few static cameras and motion sensors. While doing their setup process upstairs, one of the motion sensors downstairs starts going off. After reviewing the footage, they find something disturbing.
When we reviewed the footage from our static night vision camera to see what triggered the motion sensors, we were absolutely stunned by what we saw. What we believe to have captured is a shadow person, a supernatural phenomenon of dark, unexplained human-like shadows that often move very quickly. When we replay the footage, it appears that this entity comes from AC Houghton's office to the left and goes right through the wall on the right. We thought the motion sensors may have been triggered by the spirit of AC Houghton.
Okay, I can see the shadow move across the wall. Barely. You can't see it until they zoom in and show you up close, and something does indeed move across the wall. But I wouldn't be so fast as to call it a, what do they call it, shadow person? If we go back to the beginning of the episode, the house is next to a street. And what travels on streets? Cars. And what do cars have on during night driving? Headlights. The way the shadow moves, and at the speed it does, could very well be a car driving by and its headlights reflecting off the windows. But if I was predisposed to see ghosts, as are Zach and his crew, the shadow would look like a shadow person. Next, Zach brings out the old EMF detector and then hears a noise.
Are you here with us, AC? Did you not like what I said? About do you not like a bunch of strangers being locked inside your house?
Did you hear that? No. Come here. Be quiet. Shh. I just heard a little girl scream. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm getting it again. I'm getting it again right now. It's freezing.
I just got the chills.
Yes.
No
look at my body. Look at shh.
Anybody here with us right now? I just got the goosebumps.
Oh man. I don't know. I heard a little girl scream.
EMF detectors are designed to pick up electromagnetic fields. Most anything in our modern world that uses electricity gives these off. What does Zach have pointed directly at the EMF? His camera and infrared light. And what do these things give off? EMFs. Ding, 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 you're right. We do hear a noise and see a spike on the EMF, which is a little odd. I don't have an explanation for it, but Zach seems to think it adds evidence to the theory that ghosts give off EMFs. A few hours have passed and the team starts to hear footsteps upstairs. They head up there to see what they can find, and we get introduced to a new tool. I can't explain it and do it justice, so I'll let Zach explain it for you.
And we're getting ready to go into Mary's room right now, Mary Houghton, and this is where a lot of activity has happened. Actually, Aaron, do you have that dark light? Yeah. When we do our investigations, we're always open to experimenting with new pieces of equipment, and this is one of those pieces. This is called a dark light. It's supposed to illuminate the buffering zone in between our world and the spirit world using electromagnetic resonance between the upper and lower ranges of the visible spectrums of light. In English, it's supposed to attract ghosts to the light, kind of like, those bugs, the bug zappers. It's similar to that. So let's go in here and paste this whole room with this light. Let's give it a try. We'll go in here, okay? I'll wave it all around. After that, I'm gonna come back out here, take a series of like 5 pictures with our infrared camera and see if any spirits were attracted to this light.
There you go. A ghost bug light, or something like that. Now, this is a testable tool, and this sounds like a good time to actually do some scientific testing. Now, Zach doesn't explain why or how this would work. He just spouts off some sciencey sounding stuff, and off he goes. But let's see what he finds.
These long infrared flashes can only be seen through our night vision cameras. Spirits move at a higher frequency and often cannot be seen by the naked eye. Using an infrared camera allows us to see above the visible light spectrum, thus illuminating ghost matter, including ectoplasm. This camera also records the temperature at the exact moment the picture is taken. This is a very important factor, as a sudden drop can indicate the presence of a spirit. Analysis showed a consistent reading of 75 degrees, except for this one. We captured this unexplained mist forming to the left of the desk. Was this the ghost of Mary Houghton?
Bam! A 10-degree drop and a ghost mist by an open window. The camera he was using set off an infrared flash. Just because we can't see it without special equipment doesn't change the fact that it is still a light source, and what happens when a light source hits a reflective surface? It reflects. I'm sure you guys are smart enough to figure it out. The ghost mist looks like a reflection because there is a table under the window, and the ghost mist is off to the right side, and I can see the reflected light hitting the table. Now, Zach draws a conclusion that this ghost attracting device brought the spirit out, and the fancy camera was able to capture it. I'm not sure how those two cause, let alone correlate with the experience. You have two variables, and Zach draws a straight line connecting the two. This is not how science is done, folks. But this is how paranormal investigating is done, though. Now, I bet you didn't know this next gem.
It smells musky, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like old cologne or something? You smell that?
Mm-hmm.
What's in this door? It is very common to detect the presence of a spirit through smell, like an old perfume or musky cologne they used to wear.
Bet y'all didn't know that. Common knowledge, I suppose. The team then goes into the Masonic temple / chamber and start looking for ghosts in the shadows. They hear a noise.
It's real easy. All you got to do is make one little teeny tiny noise and we're gone. Do it.
I heard that. Can you open that door for us? Can you open that door for us?
I think that's what that was, Nick.
Yeah, it was the door. It opened.
I know, I heard it too. All three of us heard a door open and close, but it didn't seem to be the ones right in front of us because our cameras were pointed directly at them. And after reviewing our footage, we didn't notice them open at all.
Damn it! Why didn't they have the camera set up? Okay, that's fine. I'm sure our ghost will try again.
We then heard the squeak of a door once again, right after Nick's question, but this time it was more faint. We enhanced the audio so you can clearly hear it. We decided to immediately check the set of doors directly behind this first set here and noticed that they make the same exact squeaky sound of what we heard. Was this a spirit responding to our commands?
Is there anybody in here?
Ah, there you go. Verify your data with rigorous testing measures. The door sounds like what we heard, so it must be the door that made the noise. Next we have... Sorry, seems like I have a little feedback here. Hold on. Let me move my cell phone. Next we have... Hello? What the hell is that? Try this again. Next we have...
Hey, dumbass.
What the?
Yeah, you dumbass.
Am I the only one hearing that?
Hey, dummy, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Good. I'm the ghost of AC Houghton. I wanted to come in on these ghost adventurer guys.
Excuse me, folks. I'm sorry this has never happened before, but since he's here, since we have the ghost of AC Houghton with us, we might as well let him speak.
good. Now these 3 douchebags come into my house and bark orders at me like I'm a trained freaking monkey. Sorry, not gonna happen.
Yeah, but what about all those noises they heard?
Oh, that? That was just me messing with them. Yeah, I set the little motion detector off, and yes, I screamed like a little girl, and yes, I was opening and shutting doors. Not because they told me to, but because I wanted to. Nobody tells AC Houghton what to do. Not Zach or those ghost hunter creeps. Not anyone.
Wow, I really can't believe this. I mean, I have a real ghost on my show, and I'm a Paranormal Skeptic show. I always thought ghosts didn't exist.
Well, you better believe it, buddy. We're real. We're all real.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on my show.
No problem. I'm a huge fan. I gotta go. That arse John Withers is crying about how I didn't get him proper driving lessons. I mean, come on. Who can't drive a Pierce Aerodorian, right? Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
Good. I gotta go. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, well, there you have it, folks. The ghost of AC Houghton. Can't believe that happened. That's strange. Guess ghosts are real. Sorry, now without further interruptions, let's return to our friend Zach and his crew, because, who really cares about the other 2 guys? At about 3 a.m., the team sets up their equipment in the room of Mr. Withers, the driver of the car who later killed himself. Zach brings out the ghost attractor thingy again and starts calling out Mr. Withers, telling him to come to the light. They leave the room and head into the basement to see if they can find the little girl. The little girl who had nothing to do with the family but just happened to be there. They think they hear something, but were not quite able to pick it up on camera. Zach continues to call out to Mr. Withers, but they get nothing, and they're in the basement, where Mr. Withers shot himself. Zach decides to stay in the basement by himself to see what he finds.
I'm gonna sit down here by myself. I have a static night vision camera over there filming me. I'm gonna be filming in front of this hallway. A lot of people have seen apparitions in this hallway right here. There's been a lot of reports of people getting pushed down here a lot. And actually there's one Mason we interviewed earlier who saw the apparition of a little girl very clear down here. And we heard some little girl screams actually coming from down here when we were upstairs. So I'm gonna sit down here by myself and try and figure out whether this little girl is playful or if she's a demonic little girl.
I also set a ball in front of me to use as a trigger object, something a spirit may be attracted to. And before Nick and Aaron left, they set up a few more static night vision cameras covering this enormous basement.
They have a ton of cameras set up, so if someone or something is there, they should catch it. Aaron and Nick head upstairs to check out the electric chair. Oh yeah, this house has a random electric chair. But the boys hear footsteps again.
Did you hear those footsteps coming a second ago? Where was that coming from?
Nick and Aaron both heard footsteps coming up the flight of stairs towards them. The audio on their cameras also picked up these unexplained footsteps.
You don't want to do this. You can tell it's
Shh. Is anyone down there?
Sounds like knocking to me, but I'm not a believer in ghosts. Back in the basement, we catch up with Zach and he begins to hear things and captures an EVP.
Mr. Withers, are you here? Who's here with me right now?
At this exact moment, I captured an EVP, or ghost voice, on my digital recorder using our gold beryllium subtle energy microphone. From what we were able to decipher, it sounds like an older man's voice saying, "Ran for help." Is this Mr. Withers telling us what he did after he caused that fatal car accident?
Sure, it could sound like that. Or maybe it said Ron Paul 2012, or see you in hell, or ring goes the bell, or I'll throw you in jail. I think you get my point. Depending on what I want to hear and the context I want to hear it in, I can make it sound like anything. But now things get crazy. We see a shot of Zach with a static camera and hear a ting noise as he jumps out of the chair and races down the hall. We switch back and forth between Zach's handheld camera and various static cameras. The tension builds as Zach looks around for the source of the noise. What was it? Or who was it?
Get the out.
Who's here? Is that you, John Withers?
And And then the scene ends. Cut to an outside camera, and the lockdown is over. Zach and the gang thank the Masons for letting them do their lockdown, and that is it. But the show is not quite over yet. Next comes my favorite part of the episode, when they bring in the experts to analyze the evidence.
We traveled to Las Vegas, Nevada to have some of our evidence analyzed. All right, so we came to you guys because we know that you are a video photo tech for Las Vegas Paranormal Investigation, which we've heard a lot about. We've seen a lot of your group in a lot of news stories, publications here in Las Vegas. So we wanted to get a second opinion on the evidence that we captured. This first picture that you're going to look at is we captured at the Houghton Mansion. We are using an infrared digital still camera, okay? We went into this place called Mary's room. Mary was also involved in the car accident. She also died from the car accident, okay?
All right, so they have their audio and video experts from a paranormal research group. Now I wonder what their assessment of the evidence will be. They won't be biased at all, will it? I think they'll explain everything away as pareidolia. You know, our eyes and ears and our mind playing tricks on us. So the first bit of evidence is the mystery mist. Now, I thought it was a reflection of some sort, but, you know, I'm no paranormal photo expert.
Well, that's a beautiful picture right there. You have no glare from the mirror. Seems free-floating. Right in here, you can actually see a little bit more of a head, a little more of the body in here. And I truly believe that it's actually manifesting. And here in the other photos, we have 75 degrees. It's a constant 75 degrees throughout the whole room. And then when you actually look with the mist, and it actually has gone down 10 degrees. It's an amazing photo. It's a great proof.
As what we call an ectoplasm. Ectoplasm is when an entity is trying to manifest itself. That would be including the sudden temperature drop. And it's when you see a free floating mist form, either the entity is leaving or it's actually regrouping itself, trying to form a human form. That's like the holy grail when you're trying to take the picture.
So this is, like I said, it's a great piece of evidence. You know, I'm very envious.
Where did these guys come up with this stuff? What authority do they have? Did they really say ectoplasm? The shape looked more like a double helix to me. But since it went vertical and people stand vertically, it must be a ghost of a person. A quick search of ectoplasm reveals some shocking truths. All known cases of ectoplasm have been labeled as fraudulent. Shocking, I know. Now let's see what they had to say about our shadow person.
This next piece of evidence is one of the ones that we like the most so far.
Right here, we actually see the motion sensors. Then we actually see a small shadow in there. It's very fast. You really have to focus right in there.
Is that the motion sensors going off?
That is. But right now, as you can, it's all pitch black. I'm more interested when, Zach, when you're going into the room here, I'm looking for an actual light source. Can you go forward just a little bit? Right here. This is your shadow right in here. If there was actually anybody behind that camera right there, they would actually cast right in front of the door. And looking at your video, looking at where the light sources were, it would be very hard to cast an actual shadow in this one area way over here too.
The funny thing is if you sit there and watch this, it looks like somebody is just standing there like this, and as soon as it moves, it sets off the alarm motion saying, "Bam, it's gone." That's my honest opinion. You know, I think so. Big dude here was staking you out while you guys were setting up. That's what I think.
So you would actually think there's a shadow person?
That's what I'm thinking. Definitely. Or it could be a shadow child even. I'm just saying, because just as tall as the door is, this thing standing in front of it, it could be a child.
It's only 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah.
Oh man, these guys are awesome. As they try to shoehorn the evidence into their worldview, it is amazing. They talk about casting shadows and showing angles, but never did they at any time propose what I thought could have happened, which was the obvious influence of outside noise, like a car passing by. If you stare at TV static long enough, your brain will start to make patterns in the random noise. That's just what our brains evolved to do. Now they check out the audio of the supposed little girl, who again had no connection to the family, just happened to be there, and listen to how they spin it so beautifully, like a veteran politician.
Little
girl, was it a little girl scream?
Yeah, it was a little girl scream.
Little child. Oh, we heard a little child scream. Did you hear that? This was immediately after this, after we came down here because this motion sensors.
Good chain of events. Good chain of events.
Yeah.
You hear the audio. If you got it on audio, you have it on a scientific instrument, being an EMF meter, and then bam, here's your video.
Yeah.
That's a good sign of a manifestation of a shadow child, I would say.
Yeah, this would be actually a good classification of a haunting.
Yeah.
Okay? Good haunting.
Textbook example of post hoc rationalization, and even a little argument from authority by saying they used a scientific piece of equipment, so it must be true. Like I said in one of my very first episodes of this podcast, just because you use scientific equipment doesn't make you a scientist. Now, Zachy baby, take us on home.
The Houghton Mansion, built by a prominent family, became a place that bore its tragedies, manifested through sounds.
Did you hear that?
Shadows and mists.
I'm hearing footsteps up in Mary's room.
What the hell was that?
Witnessed by the residents that are there today, I believe these mysteries have but one explanation. The spirits of these tragic victims are locked within these walls, and their sadness still lingers generations later.
Here we are. Another episode down, and again we see the same things repeated over and over and over again. We have ghost hunters running around in the dark, looking for anything that goes bump in the night so they can squeeze it into their preconceived idea of a ghost. They use rehashed lingo and pseudoscientific equipment to make it sound like they're doing professional work, and to top it all off, they take their evidence to fellow paranormal experts. It's like having the Catholic Church verify miracles of people they want to make saints. No matter what, they will find a way to make it fit within their worldview. And why? Because cognitive dissonance is painful. If it wasn't, we wouldn't have evolved mechanisms to reduce it. I can take the last 5 minutes of this episode, when they have their experts review their evidence, and show how they so artfully engage in post hoc rationalization. They change their story on the fly as they feed off each other, and they all come to an agreement on the evidence. This is not how science works, but it's par for the course when it comes to paranormal investigations. This concludes another episode of Paranormal Skeptic Academy. This has been Paranormal Skeptic Academy. Find me on iTunes, Stitcher, and most other podcatchers. Follow me on Twitter at cweb619. Like the Facebook page at Paranormal Skeptic Academy. Or you can go to paranormalskepticacademy.com. Join me next time where I use science and critical thinking to take on more paranormal claims. This is Paranormal Skeptic Academy.